Hello, Ted here with Whole Latte Love. We have a Gaggia Classic Pro in front of me, and I'm going to show you how to change a steam valve in case you have a steam valve leaking. In another video, I showed how to test to see if the steam valve is leaking. So if you haven't watched that, watch that. But that'll help you determine if you need to change it or not. The reason why a steam valve can leak is if the seals go bad in it. This is a new steam valve right here. There's seals and stuff, and this is all like you can't take it apart. So if the seal's gone bad in here, it'll help, allow it to leak. Or if you get scale buildup in here, that'll also prevent it from closing up properly, and that'll cause the leak also. So if you need to change this out, we're going to show you how to do that.
And make sure it's really leaking. Do check out that other video.
Definitely make sure it's leaking, because we keep getting people that say, hey, my steam valve is leaking because they have drips coming out of the arm, and the video explains if
why that might be normal.
It's leaking or not. Yes.
All right.
So if you do need to change it, you're going to get a steam valve, and you're going to get an O-ring that goes on the neck of this steam valve, which we're just going to put on there right now.
Okay.
Because you want to put that on there first
And
anyway.
it'll come with the steam valve.
Yep.
Okay.
It's a breakout SKU, so when this is ordered, this is automatically added to the order. You're going to need a Phillips screwdriver. Doesn't have to be this long one here. And a pair of pliers. I prefer channel locks, and you'll see why. I won't really need them because this is a newer machine. And then a 17mm wrench and a 5mm Allen head tool. It doesn't have to be this.
So I need that big one? Okay.
Yeah. You can get like the L-shaped ones or the fold-out ones and the little fold-out kits that you can get or whatever with the different size Allen heads. So in order to change this, we're going to take the top off. That's the 2 Phillips screws here in the back. This funnel is attached to this lid with 2 screws here, so we're just going to undo these 2 screws. Sometimes they'll come out of the plastic here. Other times it won't, but it will unscrew from the metal housing.
If it stays in there, you won't lose it, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, I think we've taken this lid off a handful of times already and haven't lost the screws yet. So, but you can tell when they basically they're unscrewed because they'll pop the lid up and down once the screw is completely out of the holes back here in the metal. Sure. So once they're out, you can lift up. If the screws came out, make sure you don't lose them. We're going to pull this front out of that lip.
Yep.
We're going to unplug these 2 wires. There's little clip prong thingies here at the back end.
Yep.
And you're going to push down on those with your finger and pull back on the connector. Push down and pull back.
And you don't have to worry about where those go, right?
Nope, it does not matter. These are both ground connections. You can swap them. You can do it. As long as they're connected back to the top, you're fine.
Okay.
And so now here's your steam valve. And now we want to get that out and replace it. So first thing we need to do is pull this knob off. Most time you can grab it. It's just like the knobs on your stove. They have like a half moon shape that goes onto a shaft, and you can pull it off. Other times, if it's too difficult and it doesn't want to come off, you can take a flat blade screwdriver, which I don't have right now, but you can go behind the knob back here and kind of pry and get it to pop off.
Okay.
So we got the knob off. Now we have to remove this nut, which is to your arm.
It's the actual steam arm.
That is your steam hot water arm. Yeah. It's attached to the steam valve. We have to back it off. This is where the 17mm wrench comes in. I set it on the nut and just use my hammer or my hand as a quick hammer and just pop it that way a little bit.
Okay.
Once you do that, it's free. And sometimes you can get in here and unscrew it with your fingers. Sometimes you might have to continue with a wrench. I got lucky and I can undo it with my fingers this time. If there's water in the tube, once you wiggle this arm off of the steam valve, it will come out the tube.
There she goes.
As it just did. So be aware that it might have water still in the tube and it might leak out on you. We're going to pull the arm out of the way. I'm going to set it aside. I like to undo these 2 wires here just to get them out of the way so I can wiggle this back and forth if I have to.
Okay.
So if you have them marked, fine, take pictures. One way is to keep the left one facing this way, the right one facing this way, because I'm facing the side of the machine.
Yeah.
But you're only disconnecting 2 wires, so as long as you remember where those 2 wires go, you're fine. Now you're going to use the 5mm Allen head tool, whatever tool you got, and you're going to go after these 2 bolts that are holding the steam valve into the boiler. And you're going to break them free and unscrew them.
And again, you don't need this big T-handle one.
No, you can use, I mean, this one gives me better leverage.
Makes it easier.
But yeah, as long as you have like one that you can get on the bowl, if you have to add a wrench to it to help you break it free, most time they're not real tight and they don't get stuck. The only time they will get stuck is if that seal, if you've had one for a while, starts leaking and gets water corrosion around the threads. They might be a little stiff to get out. Now that those 2 bolts are free, I probably can wiggle. Yep. Okay, so this is a newer machine. If you've had an older one, it might have built up around this neck. And if it was leaking, it's probably got built up around here also. So you might have to grab a pair of pliers. Like I said, I prefer channel locks so I can get onto the shaft here, wiggle it, and you're gonna do what you can to wiggle it and pull up at the same time and get it out of the machine.
But you've never failed, I assume.
I've never failed at doing that.
Okay.
So once you get it wiggled enough and you get it out of there, I'm gonna wiggle this one up. I'm gonna pull it out of the boiler, and this sleeve right here, we're gonna pull off of it.
Okay.
And we're just gonna set that aside at the moment. And then this is the steam valve that we just took out. You can see there's actually a tiny bit of buildup on this one. And this one's been around for a little while, but not a lot. Eventually over time there could be more, and that would have prevented that from coming out easily. So we're gonna get our new steam valve, make sure our O-ring is on there, and then we're gonna take this and slide it on, because if you put this in first, you're not gonna get this on.
Yep.
I've done it. We're gonna put the sleeve on there, and that's just a protector in case this ever leaks.
From water.
Prevents water shooting out the side of your machine. It never has, but I think it's just some kind of safety thing that they put in there. So we're gonna feed the shaft in the opening first, and then we're gonna seat the steam valve back down into the opening.
Yep.
And then we're gonna take our 2 screws, we're gonna start one of them, and just get it in there. And I don't go all the way, because we need to get the other one in, and also for one other reason, which I'm going to show in a second. So I'm kind of going to get those almost to the point where I need to start tightening them. So it's holding it flush right now, and I can still move it like that.
Move around a bit.
The reason I need to move it is because we need to make sure this knob is positioned correctly in the opening over here. If I tighten it down now, I might not be able to get my knob on because it might be off one way or the other.
Sure.
So we're going to put the knob on. Do I have it the right way? I can't see. Mark's in my way, so.
Sorry, Todd. You're just going to have to deal, fella.
There we go. There. So now I have it on. You can see.
Yeah.
I have it on. Now I can position the steam valve in the proper spot. So just kind of make sure your steam knob is evenly distributed around the hole here. And you're going to take and just kind of hold the knob and tighten the screw down. And then go over to the other one and tighten this screw down. Now you can always check to make sure your knob is not cutting into the metal housing here.
Sure.
If it is, untighten your screws and reposition and tighten it back down. And we're just gonna crank on these.
We're giving a fair amount of force there.
Yep, just, I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, you want to make sure they're nice and tight.
But you don't need to put a torque wrench on.
No, you don't need to put an impact gun on there or anything like that. Just crank on them and get them nice and tight, because you want to make sure that is creating a good seal between there and the boiler.
Sure.
Now, as you can see on the old one, the seal kind of creates a dome shape with the opening of the boiler anyway.
Yeah.
Before it was round on the other one.
New one, yeah.
So we're going to feed the steam arm back into the opening down here. And we're going to move this around so we can get that to drop in, and then put this on here. We're
push this in there pretty good.
Kind of push it in there, and we're going to start this nut. If I can get it in the right spot. Got it stuck there for a second. Don't fall on me. Oh, come on. Sure, when I'm doing a video. All right, so that should do it, or not. Why aren't you lining up? I think it's on there, it's just being stubborn. If you're having a hard time like I am, and you know it's started, you might have to go the rest of the way with a wrench, depending on scenarios. I don't know how to explain it, but sometimes they just don't like to go on right off the bat. Other times I can spin it right on there, no problem, like I did when I took it off. But you gotta work it little by little, because you don't have a lot of room in here. we're just going to keep going until I get it in there all the way.
And kind of keep an eye on that terminal up there.
Yep, making sure not to bang onto that. And now I'm pretty much on it. And you can actually see here, I kind of bent the thermostat prong, which isn't a big deal. But we're pretty tight. The arm may move like it just did when I'm tightening it up. So I try my best to hold it as I'm tightening this nut, so it's not going to rattle against the housing here.
Sure.
So now we have the steam valve on. We have our knob in place. We can hook these 2 wires back on to the element here. And now we have a steam valve replaced. Put our top back on, hook these 2 wires back into these 2 prongs. Again, doesn't matter which one they go to. Usually the shape of the wires will tell you which one it wants to go to anyway. Feed the back in, put the front in between these 2 lips here. Your funnel won't drop in unless you tweak it forward a little bit to go into the opening that it's supposed to go into. And then tighten your 2 screws down. And now you have a replaced steam valve. You can open it up, start up your machine, get water run through it, make sure everything's good to go.
All right, Ted, thanks for taking us through replacing the steam valve.
You're welcome.